want to be on there, just hide your face. But this way, in case we have an overflow of people, this gives us the opportunity to share this. And some of the people I know said they couldn't attend today and they wanted to know if it was going to be recorded. So definitely want to let you know about that. So I'll give it a couple minutes. Welcome back, Brenda.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I actually just started recording to let people know. I see you are always one up on me, and you realize what I have to do. I have to actually get my LinkedIn cup now.
Do you have a statement mug? There's no lemon so sour. You can't make something resembling lemonade. This is us.
Unfortunately, the closest I can do is I can share my Northeastern University one. Starbucks has these from all over the country. And I think they had one up in Detroit as well. So we have these. They're very hard to find, so we use them. Oh,
from Jennifer
Texas?
J. Alexander got me one from Texas when I was in town.
Cool, cool.
You should be drinking out of this.
So that's my go-to one. And I have my home office is great because I have the Keurig next to me here. I have the refrigerator next to me.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually went yesterday, got my Perrier's there because I got too lazy to go downstairs and get coffee. And I was told.
You got quite the setup there, Kenneth. Nice.
Yeah, this used to be a different room. So I was told this could be the man cave. As long as there was, as long as there was a Zen room next. Yeah, well, there's a Zen room next there, but this is like my hideaway.
Yeah.
I do have Rice Krispies in my LinkedIn thing here.
You have what?
This is Rice Krispies in one of my LinkedIn water bottles here.
Rice Krispies, like the dry cereal?
The dry cereal in here.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right. So as we're waiting for people to attend, I'd be curious, Brenda, how did you come up with the name for this discussion?
So we called this, like, now I have to think about the name of it again. I know it's like creating like doors or hurdles, I think is what we called it.
Yeah, yes.
Let me look at the name. I'm gonna read the name again. I gotta go on LinkedIn Live to see it. So we were talking about like, okay, doors or hurdles, what and where are your LinkedIn CTAs?
Right. So I'd be curious to know where you came up with that.
Yeah. So I think it's part of like what I've been noticing on a lot of LinkedIn profiles lately. And as I've been working with clients is there's so many like easy opportunities to improve your presence on LinkedIn. And if you're using LinkedIn for business development or you're using LinkedIn to find a job, I feel like so many people are making it really hard for people to get a hold of you by creating hurdles for people in terms of like, you might be turning creator mode on versus, not having creator mode on, or, you're not utilizing the spaces they give you to make it easy for people to open a door to do business with you or to open a door to hire you. So I thought about like, I think there's an easy way of doing this. And it's just really about thinking about the approach. Are you making it easy for people to do business with you, to hire you, or are you making it difficult for them? That's where I came up with the topic.
One thing I notice a lot on LinkedIn, I'd be curious to know your sense. When people actually have left a company and they post that I just lost my job, I'm looking to do this, I'm looking to do that. I think there's nothing wrong with being somewhat transparent about that. But I always think that people should set themselves a little more apart than that, because it's almost becoming to me a boilerplate cut and paste of someone who's lost a job, and you get all these different comments on there. So I mean, I'm curious to know your thoughts about it, because we see these all the time. We kind of nudge each other, or not nudge, we kind of shoulder tap, we let everyone know, each other know the time that these are there. But I'd be curious to know what your sense is from a job seeker perspective.
So you're talking about like the announcement post that you've been let go and you're looking for
work?
Yeah.
I
don't have a problem with it. I encourage people to do an announcement post if they're comfortable doing so. If you and I want you to, I always like to tell people, keep these things in mind. First of all, be positive. I don't think it really serves you. I mean, depending on the situation, I've heard of people like this woman was like 9 months or 8 months pregnant and the company let her go. It's like, that's a really bad thing. Very poor form for the company. I still wouldn't bash the employer, because I think it's a reflection back on you. Like how do you handle yourself in those situations? So I think being positive, but also informing people that you are looking for work, because there probably are people out there that don't know that you have been let go, downsized, no longer with the organization, and they can't refer opportunities to you if they don't know. And if they hear that you're in career transition, you may even have people reaching out that know you that say, I wasn't aware. Would you like to meet for coffee, or would you like to jump on a call sometime? So sometimes just keeping them informed about it. But I think also in the post, you have to be specific about what you're looking for. So don't just say, I need a job, any job, send me any opportunity your way. I feel like that's so broad and specific and sounds desperate. If you can say, I'm looking for my next marketing leadership position in Metro Detroit, let me know if you hear of anything, then categorically and geographically, I know what you're looking for. And I might say, well, I heard of a content marketing position. Is that kind of like what you do? And then I can self-select into it, as opposed to if I say, I'm looking for anything, and then Jude replies to my post saying, well, what are you looking for? I feel like you need to be specific, you need to be positive, and you also need to give people, like, going back to this whole conversation of a call to action. Like, what do you want them to do next? Do you want them to comment below? Do you want them to message you? Do you want people to invite you to connect so you can continue the conversation? Like, tell them what you need to do. But I personally I don't have a problem with the posts. I think on the other side of it is the companies that are doing all of these downsizing layoffs. And often we're hearing the stories about the employees that were notified by email, by mass email, right? You're a family. You're part of a family here at XYZ company. We treat you like family. My family wouldn't fire me over an email. My family wouldn't do that. If I was getting divorced from my husband, he wouldn't do it through an email. We would sit down over coffee and talk, I feel like there's two sides, because they did that to you. So you have to look out for yourself. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's
Well,
how
I look at it this way. First of all, if anyone has anything they'd like to add, if they want to raise their hands, or we can try unmuting. I mean, Brenda and I can chat for a long time about all different stuff. What I find very interesting when I have conversations with people, they tell me things and I say, it's not on your profile. It's not in your about section. So how is a recruiter going to know if that's what you want to do? And that becomes like an aha moment. It's like the about section is like, people don't use it. They don't realize it's about selling yourself for the future, because they just don't know a lot of people. I think that's where people like you and others, we guide people just based on past experience. So Ariel, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I actually started noticing all of these emails. I'm sorry, the LinkedIn posts about, people saying I've just been laid off. And I don't know how I feel about it yet. I'm an HR professional. And so there's a little bit of, I've just been laid off by email. I've had a layoff, unfortunately, thousands of people, and I've of course been laid off. I feel like if you're going to be in job search, that you might not want to put that there, because all the employers are looking. I mean, I just had an interview. I checked out the guy that was interviewing me, and, I looked at all of his posts and everything. So I feel like, yes, you need to vent. Yes, it's very upsetting. We need to have support groups like this and other groups like right away. But to vent on LinkedIn, I'm having a bit of an issue with, because while I understand it, it could be that a future employer may not. There's other sides to that. I guess, I don't know how it started. I know it just started in the last few months.
Joey, did you have something to add?
It's just, just like I just brought up and Brenda mentioned a couple minutes ago, whatever you put out there for somebody who's hiring you, who's interviewing you, they're thinking to themselves, if you've done that there, then you may do that when you're here. And it's almost like you're dating, right? You're meeting somebody for the first or second time on a date. They're just scoping you out, and they're just trying to get a handle on who you are, and how much you're bringing to the table, and how much you're keeping behind the curtain, if you will, right? And if you're going to bitch and moan about a previous employer, the chances are great when you get here, if I hire you, maybe who knows when, you'll bitch and moan about me. I'm not bringing you in.
I think there's clarification here. It's one thing to complain about your past employer, or put it that way, but if you have a post about just an acknowledgement, and maybe that's the difference, acknowledging the situation, but then putting your best foot forward. I have no problem with that. I think some of the posts there, talking about what happened with getting shut off with your access that day, it does totally sting. And it's wrong on all the right things, but it's all about now you have to sell yourself. And I know, Joey, you talk a lot about selling yourself too.
Right, because the thing is, Ken, if you're gonna whine and you don't, and there's not a next step in the positive direction, you're just complaining, right? And I'm not interested in complaints. I'm looking for somebody to hire, right? I don't want to have a bitch session. This isn't the Donahue show. This isn't like Jerry Springer, right? I'm looking for somebody. Are you going to join my team and then kvetch and moan and complain about the weather, about the economy, about the government, about the local sports team? I need somebody who's going to be focused and working, right? I don't want a complainer.
Brenda, what do you think about it before we start out? I mean, because you're hearing different things. I really want to kind of get your sense too.
Yeah, honestly, I think everybody's got to figure it out for themselves. I think you want to stay positive. You want to stay professional. If you do not feel comfortable, you do not need to. I know some people say, I don't like to see it. I mean, if you don't like to see it, I think if you're staying positive, you're saying, I'm looking for my next marketing leadership position in Metro Detroit without bashing your employer. I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything that's wrong with that. It's informing people that you are looking. And we're here today talking about, are you creating doors or hurdles? I mean, that creates a door that people can open. I didn't know you were looking. What are you looking for? Let me refer opportunities for you. As opposed to, I don't think I don't like complaining or putting things negative out on social media, because people that know you may know the backstory. People that don't know you don't know the backstory, and they're going to create a quick decision about you. If you complain about them on social media, and if you don't like our company, if we hire you, you're going to complain about us. So we're not going to hire you. So I think keeping it positive, keeping it professional, and making sure that anything that you put out there, you feel comfortable, like for people without additional context, they're not going to make a judgment call that could be negative for you. I don't know.
And I also think, and this is my thing, if you've lost, you still can engage with other people and you can still be part of a community. Losing a job is one thing, but it doesn't make you any more or less relevant. And I think, yes, you have that 50 tip thing you can download, and it lists a lot of things on there. And I think even the idea of reaching out to yourself or others just for the first step. I mean, I started going to your events on Fridays at 10 o'clock, and I would just go to sit in. And when I think about how we first met, we kind of, I looked at you at this as this rock star, and oh my God, I want to reach out to you just to learn from you. And I think we all learn from each other. And I think it's so important. Just because you've lost a job, you're not any more or less a valuable person than another person. I think if there's nothing else that you take away from that, a job is just a job, and you possess so much energy and happiness and everything. And I think that's such a big part of it.
Yeah, I think staying positive, and everybody's making judgments on you. So when you're going out there, I think you can't go wrong with staying positive. I've even seen people doing sometimes announcing that they're looking for work, and they use a photo of themselves smiling in it.
Well, smiling is everything. People are not going to hire someone that's not smiling.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way, because you can just, like, if you're not smiling, the whole the mouth kind of gets all and you're not in a good place. You always smile on a phone screen. You smile anywhere, because it definitely comes across. Pam, you have something to add? I mean,
I just want to add that I was also at one point part of a mass layoff. However, the owner took me out for coffee and told me when they sold the company that my job was not going to continue. It was hard, but it wasn't impersonal. And I don't really have a problem with people saying they were part of a mass layoff by text. It's not a reflection on them. To be honest, it's a fair warning to people who are going to join the company. And so I don't have a problem with that, as long as they don't then continue to be negative about the company. because the action was horrific. And, you know, that's okay. You need to recognize that. And sometimes people need to know that. But then you need to follow up with all the things that get you out there and start to network. And if you don't tell people there's going to probably be a hole in your resume. And so saying there was a mass layoff is not a horrid thing, which creates that hole in your resume.
I mean, I'll say this, I think one of the things I've learned, and I was out for a while, and you know, you're going to have those up and down days, but you have to get yourself out there. And having a network of people, whether it's on this call or whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's in a group, is everything, because you have a support system. I love, you know, when you talk, Brenda, about the group on Friday, I mean, everyone's there for each other. And I think that is so important, because you'd be surprised what people can learn from each other. And I think it's so important to have that sense of community, for sure. But to your what we were talking about before on LinkedIn, what are some of the things that you think would be best ways for someone to start that's out of work, besides letting people know about their availability? Is it engagement? Is it connecting with people? Are there certain things that you would recommend over other things?
So let's say you've just been let go, and there might be people on this call too. I think there's a majority of people on the call here are job seekers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say you've just been let go, or it's been fairly recent where you're re-entering the job search market and you're back out there again. Somebody to me was kind of like talking like, you know, we talk different analogies, but like you've just gone through a divorce and now you're in the dating market again. Like, how do you date? Everything's different. There's dating apps and all these crazy, like now there's LinkedIn, there's not classified ads. It's so different. So the first thing is like looking through your profile, making sure that your contact info has your home email and not your work email, taking out your employer from the website section of your contact info section, because you don't need to send them any love if they're not giving you a paycheck anymore. Making sure that your headline field has it as a job title in it, so you can come up in more searches for that. And then what else do we need to do to make sure that your profile is ready to go to support your job search? One thing would be, if you haven't added an end date to your last employer, don't add it yet, because if you do so, you'll come up in less searches. I don't think it's right, but it is something that LinkedIn says. If you don't have a current employer, you won't come up as many searches. So don't put an end date yet, but you can, if you have a description in that employer section, put things in the past tense. And you can also put a little mention in there. I'm currently seeking my next position as a marketing director in Metro Detroit, due to layoffs at XYZ. If you feel comfortable, you can certainly put that in there. Then, you know, kind of doing a review from top to bottom. Do you have a good looking headshot photo? Does it look like you today? Not you from 20 years ago, not a poorly lit photo, not you and your spouse or you and your dog or you and your boat, or, you know, I've seen other like things on there. But like, if you show up for an interview, that headshot photo should look like you. If you're on a Zoom call or in person, it should look like you. Do you have a banner image in the top, that rectangular image in the back? If not, pick an image that supports your area of expertise, not just a color rainbow or something, like, you know, like pick something in there that is intentional in there, and making sure that we're giving the best first impression when people come to our profile. After the profile, then I would start networking, Kenneth. And I always tell people, like, connect with people that are in your targeted job title, in your targeted area. And people will be like, why would I connect with my competitors? Or why would I connect with people that are working? Well, because many of them are going to be approached for jobs and they're not interested because they're working and they're happy, but they're going to say, I just connected with this Brenda Meller and she's looking for a job. Let me send opportunities to her. Like, let me send you over to her. And then I think building a community of amazing people. I mean, Kenneth, you run such a great group, you know, finding other people who are in career transition with you, and maybe even finding some accountability partners inside the group, and treating the job search like your job. When you worked a job, you worked 40 hours a week in the job. When you're in job search mode, you should be working, quote unquote, 40 hours a week, job searching. But you can count networking. So today, this time on today's call counts as an hour of your job search time. So it doesn't have to be applying for jobs for 40 hours a week, but you need to be active, like getting into a pattern of behavior to support a successful job search.
What about personalizing connection requests versus just sending one cold?
Oh, all the time. So when you invite people to connect, and this is part of my beef with LinkedIn, and I love LinkedIn as a platform, but I feel like a lot of times they set you up for failure because of the way they have things set up. So right now, if I were to click on your profile, Kenneth, and there's a connect button on there or follow button, whatever. If I click on connect, it says you can either add a note or send, and the send is like blue and bold, and it looks like that's what they want you to do. If you click on that, you can't personalize it. If you click on add a note, you get another box, and now you can include a personalized note that you send out to the person. And what I like to do is I always include a personal note with every single invitation I send, every single time, even on desktop, even on mobile. And what I do is I try to keep it short and sweet. So if we've never met, I'm going to look over your profile, find 1 or 2 items that we have in common or something that's interesting to me to comment on, and then I'll ask for the connection. So, hi, Tara. We haven't met, but I see that we're both located in Metro Detroit and we share several common connections in marketing. Let's connect on LinkedIn, Brenda Meller. Or if we have met, I might say, I'm looking for somebody on the call. Hi, Christopher. We were both on Kenneth Lang's webinar today. Let's connect on LinkedIn, Brenda Meller. So I'm going to tell you where we met, and that is it. But always include a personal note every single time. And I sometimes hear kind of like people saying, well, Kathy knows who I am. I don't need to include that. Well, like, Kathy might know that today, but like 6 months from now, Kathy might forget that you met her today. So it's helpful for them. And then for the people who've never met you, who don't know you are, if you don't include a personal note, you're letting them decide based on face value, literally your picture of your face, your headline field, anything else. If they don't click on your profile, all they're going to see is your name, your photo and your headline, and they're going to make a judgment call like that, whether or not they want to accept your invitation. If you include a personal note, there's a good likelihood they're going to read it, especially if the personal note is personal. It's a personalized note. It's not, I'm growing my network on LinkedIn, let's connect here. Like that's a templated, generic thing. But I think definitely including a personal note is going to get more of your connection requests accepted, and then it's going to help you with dialogue building too.
So before I get to a couple of questions, I'm going to ask you a question I get asked probably more than anything I get asked. Basic or premium? Which should I get?
So I want you to replace the words basic and premium with free and paid.
Okay.
So LinkedIn Basic is LinkedIn free. You don't have to pay for it. LinkedIn Premium, it makes you feel like it's a better version of LinkedIn because they use the word premium. That's those marketing people. And I can say that because I'm a marketing person. That's those marketing people. They call it premium and they make it sound like it's a better version of LinkedIn, like the American Express Gold card or like the venti latte from Starbucks. It gets a better version. It's LinkedIn paid. And premium, you're paying for additional features. If you don't know what you're paying for, stop paying LinkedIn money. Cancel it and downgrade and go back to the LinkedIn Basic, which we know is LinkedIn free. Most people can get by with the LinkedIn Basic version without having to pay any money. When you upgrade to premium, there's a couple different levels. There's Job Seeker Premium. I think it's $29.99 a month. There's Business Premium, which is $59.99 a month. And then there's like Sales Navigator and there's Recruiter and there's a couple other levels. With the basic version, you can view profiles, you can send out invitations, you can include personal notes, you can message people back, you can search for a job, you can do all the things you need to do. If you upgrade to Job Seeker Premium or Business Premium, you get a couple of additional features. You're paying for those additional features. One of which is you can see everyone who has looked at your profile, as long as they haven't locked down their profile and put it in private mode or made themselves anonymous. And then you also get the ability to, there's like a trend line. You can see like you can see the trend line of how many people have viewed your profile in the past 90 days. Now, is that going to get you a job faster? Probably not. Is it interesting? Yeah, but is it worth, there's $30 a month interesting? Like I'd rather go out to the coffee a couple more times or buy a nice bag of treats for my dog for $30 and pay for that. You do get, some additional features as well, like you get access to LinkedIn Learning, so you get access to their video library, and that may be helpful for you. I was just talking to someone the other day who is experience rich, and I use this expression a lot, kind of experience rich, but technology challenged. So I think he's in his 60s. He's worked a very long and very successful career, and he's now finding himself in career transition. And guess what? He needs to learn Zoom, and he needs to learn Excel, and he needs to learn Gmail. And we were poking around inside LinkedIn Learning, and they have videos on Microsoft Excel, and there's like multiple modules inside there. And then there's Zoom videos, like how to learn Zoom. And that may be worth the investment for you. But again, LinkedIn Basic is LinkedIn free, and LinkedIn Premium is you have to pay for that. You're paying for the additional services and features that you get out of it. That's my take on it.
Thanks. So thank you guys for waiting for me to get a hold of you. Christina, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, sure. So just to build upon, I think Pam had kind of described the theme here. I think normalizing layoffs is needed. And a fun survey on this call would be to ask who has not been laid off. I personally, and I'm in healthcare and I'm actually a nurse. And so when like nurses are laid off, you got to like wonder what's going on with companies. So, it's not okay to treat people in restructure with some of the methods that they do. And there should, and I kind of would ask any of the HR people here if they've been involved in large layoffs. I'm just curious what kind of goes on and how to strategically approach it. There's like shock value here, cutting people off from their computers, walking them out of the building. I mean, it's very dramatic and it has nothing to do with them. So I just find it that to kind of expect cheerful and positivity amidst being treated in a really negative, disrespectful, and inhumane way, there's balance there. So I'm all for expressing if a company is treating its employees in a negative fashion, because karma is a thing and it will potentially hurt your future business. So it's definitely something to think about. So that was my share.
And then we have Ken Lang, who I met from Brenda's calls, and we specifically make sure that we're not named the same, but we met together and we've actually had a chance to have a couple of conversations, and I'd love to get a sense of what you'd like to add.
I wanted to go back to Brenda's comments, and Brenda, if you could elaborate a little more. And I think you had said your last position, your last employer on your LinkedIn profile, that it's better to leave that to present, right? So
right.
in my case, my last day was beginning of November. And I've changed my LinkedIn profile to show that November was my end date.
Yes.
Should I not do it?
If you've already done it, don't change it. Like if it's already reflected an end date, don't go back and put to present, because it might look like they brought you back. And my goal here is not to deceive people on thinking that you have a job when you don't have a job. My goal is to help you to come up in more LinkedIn searches. And I want to be truthful and honest about it. Now, taking the action of putting an end date, you've already done that. So you don't want to like open it back up again and have people think like he went back there or they didn't really let him go. Or now he's lying, like he's not really back there and it looks like he is. Like there may be people who saw that. But if you don't have a current employer, LinkedIn will say you don't come up in as many searches on the platform. So one workaround that you can do, Ken, and for any other job seeker on the call, is you can add a position to your experience section. The job title would be the job title that you are seeking, the company name, and there's multiple pages to choose from. I'm going to put my link in the comments here just a second, but there's employer pages on LinkedIn that are called open to new opportunities or open to work, or, I'll put the blog in here, you can look at, but then there's like an icon that goes next to it, like a logo that goes next to it, and it would say seeking new opportunities. So the job title would say marketing director, the company name would be seeking new opportunities. And I know this sounds kind of like weird and backwards, like why would you do that on your LinkedIn profile? Because it helps you to come up in more searches. It's LinkedIn rules. It's their sandbox. They make the rules. I don't make the rules. I wouldn't put that on the profile if it weren't to LinkedIn to say you get penalized by not coming up in as much searches. So it's a way of kind of like putting a Band-Aid over the situation until you're back to work. And then when you're back to work, you would obviously remove that entire entry from there and you'd put your new employer in. Does that help, Ken?
Yeah,
It
that's
does.
super helpful. Yeah, thank you.
I'd be curious to know what Al Smith has to say about this, because Al Smith is a kind of one of my counterparts down in Atlanta, and we've had many conversations about that. So what do you have to say about that, Al?
I'll tell you, if job seekers who aren't taking notes of what Brenda's saying are doing yourself a disservice, because if her voice wasn't as much higher pitched than mine, I would think it's my lips that these are coming out of. Yeah, I think it's really important to be very clear with your current job, in air quotes, current job, to make sure that a recruiter can see that you're actually seeking that job. And if you're asked why you have it, you can say, so I can come up in your search. Because with the recruiter package, I believe they can say that you have to have the job title currently. At least that's the way it was with the old advanced search that we used to get for free. The other thing, it's often LinkedIn will offer a LinkedIn Premium, the $60.
No, is a pointless gesture because the others.
And so if you don't have that version, you can reach the commercial search limit. And if you're doing a lot of people searches, you can reach that limit. And as soon as the 2 months is over, can it. You don't need it unless you're using it professionally. Thanks for letting me butt in.
Of course. I mean, I also think a lot of times if you want to search for people, don't even search within LinkedIn, do a Google search, because that doesn't count. That does not count against your searches. Barbara, welcome back. Did you want to add something?
I'm sorry, my question was answered. I thought I unraised my hand.
Oh,
though.
okay.
There we go. Thank you, Ken.
Welcome.
Or
Welcome.
Kenneth, I'm sorry.
Well, all right, that brings up the other thing. What do I get called? I am Kenneth, but I think the most important thing, and Brenda is so much knowledge, and I think like Brenda, we've also both lost jobs over the years. So we kind of come from a little bit of the school of hard knocks. So we can share some of our experiences and we know what we're saying, at least from that perspective. I mean, it's hard. And I mean, one thing I would absolutely say is you want to have those people to support you, but you want to have an accountability group besides your friends and family. And your friends and family can do so much, but there are things they can't do. And I think it's so important to have a community, whether it's here or on Brenda's call or somewhere else, because it's important to ask certain questions. And there's no such thing as a stupid question, but I know I'm still learning. And I think the day that you stop learning, is the day you're not around anymore, which is kind of as ugly as I'm going to make it sound.
Ken?
Yeah.
Kenneth? I did
Yes.
have a question. My question was answered, but it prompted another question. So I currently am volunteering and I have that as my current job. It's not a paid job, it's a volunteer job, but it's a job. So is that okay? When I get a job, I'll probably move that down to volunteering, but is that okay? Or to Brenda or
Brenda?
Al Smith, the hired guy, is it better to have the volunteer stuff where it belongs and have job seeker in the
So
today
is the
job?
volunteer role related to the work that you're looking to move into, or is it like a volunteer role in marketing and you want to work in marketing, or tell me a little bit about the volunteer role?
Kind of. I don't have an industry or a job title. I'm an absolute mess, Brenda. So I'm figuring this stuff
No,
out.
you're not, Barbara. You're probably very passionate about some things, and I feel
That's
like
the problem.
sometimes
I'm
you-
passionate about everything, Brenda.
But what did you used to do?
I've done a little bit of everything. And
What was your
again,
last
yes.
job?
Brenda, I appreciate it. My last job was a nightmare, but my last job was literally, I was hired to do a little, I was hired to do a little bit of everything. That's literally what I was hired for. But in any case, what I'm volunteering for now is something that helps job seekers. And I'm actually applied for and going for an interview for a job as a resume coach / a branding specialist is what they call it.
Okay.
So I'm looking to do that, but there's so many different things that I could do. But since that is a passion of mine, And I'm helping this woman develop an app. She's helping me with my job search. I'm helping her put stuff on, doing meetups and events. And so I'm doing a lot of different things for her as well. So it does feel there's some synergy there.
Okay, so what was there a question? I'm sorry, I lost. I was like trying to help you find a job, and I'm like looking up your profile. I'm like gonna help you, Barbara, but I don't know what your question was.
I'm so beyond help, Brenda. No, seriously, thank you for that. So my question is it better?
Oh, volunteer.
have-
What to put in? Okay, yeah. So
that or
I mean,
Yeah.
the key is, I guess, having some current role in your experience section helps you to come up in more searches. That's the rule,
Okay.
so to speak, from LinkedIn. If you don't have a current employer, you're not going to come up in as many searches as if you do have a current employer. And I'm using air quotes because employer could be a company that is paying you a paycheck. An employer could be an open to work page that you're not getting a paycheck from, but that is showing that you're available for new opportunities. Or it could be a volunteer position that you're doing work pro bono. You're not getting paid for it. So you have something in there. I think, getting back to the point, Barbara, of when I asked, what are you looking for? And there might be others on the call that are struggling with this too. Like, I feel like I hear this a lot. I just need a job. I need a full-time job with good benefits. I want to be back to work. Some people don't know what they want to do next because you've never had the luxury of allowing yourself to think about, what do I like to do and what do I want to do? When people are looking at your profile, Barbara, if it's not clear to me what you can help my company with, I'm going to immediately click off and go on to the next person. So I want to make sure, like, when I land on your profile, I want to be crystal clear on what it is that you're looking for. And let's just it's like almost like throwing a dart at a dartboard. Just put something up there. So
Right.
let's say it's administrative assistant. And that's kind of like a jack of all trades. You do a little bit of everything. You can help out a lot of people. You like working with you. I'm just making it up. Administrative assistant. So let's put that on there as a starting point. Now you might say, well, I don't want to be an administrative assistant because I've been a manager. I've been an operations manager. Okay, now we're someplace else. Now we're at operations manager. So I want to start with something. And Barbara, if you've never done an exercise of career exploration, doing a career strategy worksheet or something like that, I think sometimes we have to look within and ourselves first and get
Brenda, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, but I don't want to take over this call. I have done so much of that work. I've got some neurodiversities that make this very, very difficult.
Okay.
So I have here my assessments.
Okay.
Okay. So,
All right.
All right.
So answer the question. I think having something in experience is better than not having anything. It's always better to have something more relevant and targeted towards the job that you're seeking or the
Right.
industry role that you're looking for. But if you don't want to have an open to work page, I think it's perfectly fine to have a volunteer section in there, especially if that's how you're keeping yourself busy and occupied as you're in between successes. Does that answer your question?
it does. Thank you. And that job is actually helping me to try to pinpoint some of this. So
Good.
it's a win-win all the way around. Thank you so much, Brenda. I really appreciate it.
See, but that brings up a good point. When someone doesn't know what they want to do, or they've done something and they figure, well, maybe I need to do something else because I don't like what I'm doing or whatever it is. I think there's a certain part of self-examination that has to come into it, because if you apply for jobs left and right just because, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. So you have to really ask yourself, what do I want to do? What am I passionate about and can make work? And I think you might agree with that, Brenda, because I think if you don't know what you want to do, how can people help you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think, focus is key. And Kenneth, on the Friday call, I always have people introduce themselves. I say, get into chat, tell us your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, your LinkedIn URL. And part of the reason we do that is so that you get practicing doing it. And to do this every time you have the opportunity when the Zoom chat is open, when you're in a virtual call, because you never know when you're going to bump into someone who says, I know exactly a role that would be perfect for you. And part of this is too, when we find ourselves in career transition, and I was there, I totally get it. You just want to be back to work. And sometimes you'll say, I'll take anything. I'll do anything. And or here's what I used to do, and maybe you don't really like what you used to do, but this is what you feel like you're qualified to do moving forward. And we don't give ourselves the luxury, or we don't feel like we can say, I want to do something else. Like my husband worked in retail store management for 20 years. When he left that, he was at a pretty high salary level, and he had to start over on his career. He had to start at the bottom. And he was working in a call center as a customer service. He was not making good money at all. He left a high paying retail job to start all the way over. And then he gradually worked his way back up in his career again. But it's really hard sometimes to know what you're looking for. And there is a process you go through when you're in career transition where your identity is separated from the job that you used to do. You used to be a marketing manager at XYZ company. Now you've been terminated. You're no longer there. So you're not a marketing manager for XYZ company. What are you? Are you still a marketing manager? Is that what you want to do moving forward? Or do you realize, I never liked marketing. I want to become a nurse practitioner, like changing fields, like a 180, entirely different direction, right? And then getting the education training that you need to get there. So if that was the case, I would, in my LinkedIn headline, I would put aspiring, ASPIRING, aspiring nurse practitioner, which says that's where I want to go next. It doesn't say I'm an experienced nurse practitioner. It says aspiring on there. But I think the more focus you can get, the more that the universe knows what to deliver to you. And more importantly, your LinkedIn profile visitors know what it is that you're looking for too.
And I think also as you attend events like this and talk to other people, you're going to get a clear focus, because someone may actually come up like you were trying to do, just now with Barbara, help that person get to a better sense of what they want to do. Because I think sometimes we're too close to the situation, and sometimes you need someone to say, you don't realize you do that well, or whatever it is. And then that becomes that aha moment. So I think that is such a great thing as well, for sure. So Susan, did you have anything you wanted to add? I see your hand is up.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I did. I was along the same lines. I've gone ahead and started an LLC. I just applied for paperwork for an LLC, thinking that I might be able to get some contract work while looking for full-time employment, if that's even the direction that ends up happening. And is it okay, do we think, to put my LLC as my current employment once Friday comes and goes and I'm no longer officially employed, even though I don't have any customers or clients right now? That's my business, and I'll end it there because I think I've said enough.
All right. Can I take this one, Kenneth?
You can take it because I know exactly what you're going to say.
Absolutely. Add it to your LinkedIn profile as soon as you feel comfortable and as soon as you're able to add it to your LinkedIn profile. In fact, Susan, you could set up a company page on LinkedIn right now and just not link it anywhere. As long as it doesn't say, Susan Davis, Teen Chef LLC, if it doesn't have your name in it so they can't identify and connect you with it. If you need to wait until the job is done, wait. But then set up the page and then link it to your profile. And as soon as you link it to your profile, make sure that you have the notify network button turned on. Make sure that you put your start date as the month that you've added it to your profile. So let's say technically you're starting your LLC today, but you're not officially making it public and starting to be able to take clients on until February 2nd. So you're going to add it to your profile with a start date of February 2nd. You're going to click on notify network. LinkedIn's going to push out a post that says, congratulate Susan on being named consultant at, CJK Consulting or whatever it is. And then you're going to get people messaging you, and you're going to get people publicly congratulating you on the timeline. In the experience section for your consulting, do what I did. Because when I first left my last corporate job, I did not intend to stay self-employed. I was going to find a job. I was going to get a job and I was going to get back to work as soon as I can. But in the meantime, I had my LLC and I had my LLC running for a little while before. It was just like when I got side speaking business, I had, for tax purposes, I kept it in a separate bank account, and I had a separate company page. So I didn't have to do things on my employer's company page. I could do them on my own. And in my description, I said, while I'm looking for my next full-time marketing leadership position in Metro Detroit, I'm working on a part-time and project basis with helping clients in Metro Detroit with marketing and social media. So I'm spelling out for the world, I am still looking for a job, a full-time job in marketing leadership. But in the meantime, I'm also providing my expertise in my business. Now, I'm not saying I have a list of clients and I've already booked the stuff, but Susan, you have expertise. You just haven't been paid for that expertise through your LLC yet. You don't need to tell people that. And I want you to think about this. Throughout our careers, the first time, there's been at some point during your life where you've gone to the doctor or a pediatrician or dentist or somebody, and that person, you were the first person they serviced or waited on or catered to. You know, at some point, we've all been somebody's first, I guess is the point there in our career. So similarly, some client is going to be your first client, and you might take a couple of pro bono clients to get unpaid work under your belt, ask them for a LinkedIn recommendation, merchandise testimonials on your website without telling people you weren't paid, without telling people it was volunteer work. You don't have to do that. You don't have to tell people that it was unpaid. But yes, certainly add it in. I would certainly add in the description to tell people while you are looking for your next full-time job, you're doing some side project work and consulting work, etc. You might be like me, Susan, where like one day it was like it slowly inched up creep by creep. And all of a sudden one day I was like, I don't think I need a job. I think Meller marketing is my career moving forward, and you never have to look back from there. So that might be you.
And I would also say, as people congratulate you, follow up with them and thank them for the congratulations and see if maybe they'd be willing to have a conversation or reconnect. I mean, you just never know, because I did that probably with one of my many consulting jobs. I did that, and that actually led to another consulting job after that, because you just don't know where it's going to go.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much. Love the validation from my thought there. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Congrats
Sarah?
on your LLC. That's very exciting. It's pretty easy to set up an LLC too, Susan,
Yeah.
isn't it? I think a lot of people think it's
Yep.
really hard, but it's not that difficult.
It
Nope.
was one piece of paper, $125, and just need to get it
There you go.
pushed through. That's in Pennsylvania at
Yep.
least. Thanks.
Yep, congrats.
Congrats. Kara, what's up?
So,
That's good.
hi Ken. So I'm going back to the previous question a little bit. I'm curious what you recommend saying when you would be happy in multiple potential roles. So, you know, I have been a technical writer for a long time, but I'm also, for example, right now interviewing for roles like an implementation manager. So, you know, my skill set is broad. I can do a lot of different things, and I'm just wondering how I can best market myself without
Well-
seeming wishy-washy.
Well, I would say if you have common experiences, common skills between them, that can definitely help, you know, along those lines. What about you, Brenda? Anything you would suggest?
I think about transferable skills. What are the I similar to you? What are the common themes that exist within each of the positions? And you know, it's probably the case where there's some overlap. So let's say, for example, you're thinking about graphic design, but you're also thinking about marketing specialist, and you're also thinking about content marketing. So it's like those are within the same category-ish. Like it's in the creative fields, I guess is where I look at that. So what could you use in your LinkedIn headline might be something that's a common denominator of all three. So it could be like a creative specialist. I just made that up. I don't know, but like think about something that fits. Could you use that to describe all three of those? And then in your about statement, or even in your LinkedIn post, you could say, I'm exploring careers such as this. I'm looking at graphic design because I've always been impressed with colors and shapes and how, you know, they create moods and feelings. And I've enjoyed the field of marketing, which is part of my background, and the psychology and things like that. And I'm also considering content marketing because I see so much growth and opportunity in social media. So I think if you can help to explain and connect the dots, but I think you have to go in with your own mindset being, this is a positive thing that I'm considering so many things. You can't go in thinking this is scattered, there's too many things I'm thinking of. And I use this analogy, I've talked about this in the job seeker group before. It's kind of like if I were to hold a bowl of something up to Joey, and I say, Joey, doesn't this bowl of milk smell sour? And Joey's already like crinkling his nose before he's sniffing it because he's imagining sour milk is coming towards him, as opposed to if I hold the same bowl up to Angela and I say, Angela, doesn't this Greek yogurt smell amazing? And Angela's going in and she anticipates it's got a little sour odor because Greek yogurt is kind of like that, right? Yogurt and sour milk, guys, they're the same thing. It's soured or fermented milk. It's how I positioned it, holding it up to Joey as opposed to holding it up to Angela. And Joey might even go, God, that milk looks goopy, right? That's not milk. What is that, yogurt? Right? So thinking about positioning it in a positive light, there are 3 things I'm looking at, but the common theme, the common denominator across all of them is creativity and helping businesses with their brand image. So hopefully that helps out.
Go ahead, Tara.
No, go ahead. I was gonna just say
I was
thank
gonna say
you.
also, you can be engaging on the platform in different ways. Your about section can list specific things that you've done at each of the places, but you really have to have it all come together because you want to be able to explain when you go for a job, what is it that the job you're going for? How is it going to be specific to the skills? I mean, you can do multiple resumes and prioritize different things, but end of the day, if someone's going to look to hire you, what is it that you're going to do for them that is going to, separate you? And it could be it could be some of the transferable skills. So I'm just going to mute you if you're okay. So Mindy is also one of my fellow or one of the other LinkedIn rock stars, and thank you very much, Brenda, for that as well. But Mindy, I think we were actually on a call right before when we were talking about resumes and just the ideas of that. So is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, so I'm hearing so many people who want to pivot. I just want to say a couple of things. Number one, you need to have a bit of self-reflection. Take a few moments to reflect on what you loved about your last job or your last 2 jobs and what you hated about them. And when you look at the side that says, this is what I love, this is what energized me, this is where I brought joy, this is the area that you want to focus on. So when I was looking at myself and I was leaving HR after working for 20 some odd years as the head of HR, there were things that I loved doing. And one of them was helping people, with a career trajectory, helping them with their learning development. I hated benefits and I hated talking about pensions. So I knew I didn't want to go into that area. I knew that my next step was going to be something in the realm that is employee related. And then start looking at those job postings because they are gold. When you look at a job posting, they tell you exactly what you're going to be doing, and believe it. And if they say this is a fast-paced environment, you better believe it. It's going to be more than fast-paced. And when they list all the skills that you need, take a look at yours. Make sure that yours measure up, and make sure that those skills are in your skills section on LinkedIn. Don't forget to and make sure that you have all 50 skills in there and that they are attached to those jobs that you did. And so it's like a 3-prong approach: self-reflect, figure out what it is you love to do and what energizes you every day, because you're going to be doing it every day. Take a look at those job postings, see what they're asking for in the particular jobs that you're looking at, and then make sure that your skills are lined up on your LinkedIn profile. Those are the top 3 things when you're pivoting that I would recommend you do.
I heard a great thing before about the hidden job market, and it's a great comment. The hidden job market are the jobs you don't know about. It's the job that when you ask other people about them, they'll tell you they exist, but they're not going to be posted on a website. Sometimes they're jobs that are not necessarily even posted or even haven't even been filled yet. But the more you ask people, the better the opportunity is. And Brenda, before we leave the call, I definitely want you to share your book and kind of talk about some of the stuff you're doing there, because I think you have so many different things that you offer everyone here, besides the smile and besides all the other great stuff. Definitely should share your book and the other things you do. Brenda.
Brenda, you're muted.
You're muted. It's
Sorry.
that time again.
My son came home and I thought he had a friend with him, and I was like, "Are you home by yourself?" And I'm like blowing him kisses and stuff. And I didn't want you guys to hear me yelling in the background. I don't know if Joey is on the call. He can see I have his book like right here in my screen. Did you notice that, Joey?
I see.
I move
Yes.
things around, but my book is like right on here, and I've got copies like behind me. Somebody once told me they got a lot of pink behind you there. I'm like, yep, sure do. Got a book. It's called Social Media Pie: how to enjoy a bigger slice of LinkedIn. And it's a book, you guys. I wrote a book. It's a book of practical strategies on how to get more out of LinkedIn. I do have to say, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, maybe it was 3 weeks ago on our Friday call, there was a woman who got a job. I can't remember who it was, Kenneth, but she's like, we were talking about like, how did you get the job? What did you do differently? And she's like, I read Brenda's book and I applied everything she talked about in the book and I got a job. And people are like, where's the link to the book? You know, I mean, a lot of the advice that you hear from people, I want you to think about like 50% of the value of that is what additional knowledge and insights you're gaining from those people. The other 50% is what you do with it. Because you can buy the book and you can put it on your bookshelf and you can put it on your nightstand in your to be read file. We all have those. I have one too. Or you can buy the book and you can read the book and you can like prop the book up and earmark pages and do the stuff and then see what it gets you. So, you know, if you're interested in the book, I'll put the link into chat there, but I love helping people get a bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie. I love pie as well. I have a picture of the pie slice on the front cover. There's a lot of analogies between pie and marketing, so check that out. Samina just held up her book. And I also hold a Friday VIP job seeker call. I'm going to drop the link in comments right now. It's free every Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern. I have a group of people who I deem all-stars that help me out. People like Kenneth Lang, Joey Himmelfarb, Mindy Stern. Trying to see if there's anyone else on the
I
call.
think Jude was on the call. I don't know if she's still
Gall, yep. And then we have Sue Griffey. I'm blanking on Al's last name. There's a couple other people that help us out, but we have a bunch of people that help us out. We share success stories of job seekers. We answer your questions about using LinkedIn for job search, about resumes, about hiring strategies, that kind of stuff. So check it out. And by the way, if you're interested in connecting with me on LinkedIn, if you go to my profile, I have creator mode set up. So if you want to connect with me, you have to click on the more button, and then you will need to include a personal note. Tell me that you were on Kenneth Lang's webinar today, and that's how you heard about me. And I would be happy to accept your invitation.
Russ,
Yeah.
did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, no, thank you for accepting my request. I just sent and great to see you. And yes, I'm on the Friday group as well now. So it's an awesome group. I want to say yes, and things come up as you're even networking. As one example, a couple weeks ago, or actually the 11th or so to be exact, I was talking to someone about and we got into talking about what I was looking for, and he goes, "Oh, really? Do you want? Are you looking into small batteries, large batteries, and all this?" And I hadn't really went quite that granular on it. So because I'm on a bunch of these, and I said, always make it as granular and focused as possible, because the more focused it is, the more everyone knows how to assist you. And so just that, things evolve. So that's what I wanted to add.
Great. So any other final thoughts, Brenda? I'll save the chat and post the recording, but I want to make sure that you get props for everything you do, because
I want to give a shout out right now, because I see my career fairy godmother is in the audience, Kathy McCafferty Smith. I want to give a shout out to Kathy.
Americans on Medicare, you need to do this. Healthy
no.
What's happening? Are we getting a sales pitch right now?
Yeah, what's going on?
I just unmuted D. Lewis Groover. Ooh, you're good now.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think Lewis was a spammy guy. Okay. Anyway,
He was a Medicare call.
Oh, maybe he got a call on his phone and he had it unmute. I'm like, Lewis is not that kind of guy.
Nope.
At any rate, Kathy is on the call. Kathy has a great book. Kathy, what color is your book? Can you unmute yourself? Because I want to hold it up. I have it in my bookshelf. What color is it?
I think I'm live. It's blue.
Blue. What's it called?
Career Map, Discover Your Unique Purpose. And it's a do book, not a read book. It's a series of exercises, which, by the way, with my HR hat on, helps you with HR, because it makes you think through some of your answers before you get there.
So Career Map, Discover Your Unique Purpose. You can Google it, Kathy McCafferty Smith. I asked her what color her book is, because literally I have my books organized by color. That's how I organize my books. I should have them color and author last name, so when she says blue, I can look up M for McCafferty Smith, but I'm not that smart yet. I also saw Pam Lothit in the audience. I want to say hi to Pam. I always like to give shout outs to people that I know, and I see a lot of people from the Friday VIP group in here as well. It has been a delight joining you, Kenneth. Kenneth, I feel like I'm forever indebted to you. You do so much to help me. You're so kind and you're such a great person. I just want to say thank you again so much for having me on. I had a blast today.
Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for this.